And unsurprisingly, he wound up quickly falling asleep as a result. How could you sleep at a time like this? Like, my heart would be like, bah, 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 bah. His heart's like, bah, bah, bah. Just chill. Just super chill. Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of Brain Blaze. I, as always, am your host, Simon. Welcome to the show. I'm one of my writers, in this case, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin, has written me a script, World's Dumbest Criminals. We've done this before 2 times, in fact. And the reason we have a third one is because the previous ones were watched lots. And when they're watched lots, that means I make lots and lots of ad revenue. And that's why I make more. Because I'm creatively bankrupt. Kevin writes it, I react to it, Sam edits it afterwards. That's the format of the show. Let's go. Being a criminal is a fun and easy way to make a living. That's probably why so many people do it. Yeah, what's that famous quote? Like, crime doesn't pay, except it does, because otherwise there'd be no crime, right? Obviously it pays. I mean, unless you're like murdering someone, then you're probably not doing it for money. You're just doing it because you really did like them.
Who killed Hannibal?
And unless you're getting involved in organized crime, there are no job interviews, no bosses, and no human resources department to reprimand you for telling off-color jokes. Wait, do you think the mafia has a human resources department to reprimand you for telling off-color jokes? I don't think so. I think they're just like, they'll just take you out back and like beat the shit out of you and be like, don't make jokes like that! More importantly, there are no minimum job requirements to enter the field. Of course, I'm not actually recommending that any of you go and commit crimes, especially in our modern era of forensic science, CCTV cameras, and DNA evidence. Sure, only about 50% of violent crimes and 20% of non-violent crimes are ever solved, but that doesn't mean that 50 to 80% of criminals are never caught. It just means there are a handful of people who are really good at committing lots of crimes and lots of idiots who get caught on their first attempt. So, Kevin, what you're essentially telling me is just be really good at crimes. Because the stats are really on your side if you're good at crime. And there is, sir, fuck this, I'm going to go do crime. Let's go. And there's certainly no shortage of idiot criminals. Danny's covered some of them before on this channel, and it's been about 2 years, has it really? So it's about time for me to look at some of the dumbest criminals that we have to offer. Armed robbery and chill. It was about 4 a.m. on the morning of May the 8th earlier this year when Amber Baron entered her home in Indianapolis, Indiana. She had just arrived home from her job as a delivery driver for Papa John's, at least assuming her LinkedIn profile is up to date. Good research there. Check that LinkedIn profile. What I hate about LinkedIn is it'll tell you, you know when you're on LinkedIn and it's like this person viewed your profile and it's like, well, I immediately know who that is. Like they work at this place. And it's like, well, I've only had dealings with one person from that place. So I know that the person who I was dealing with at that place looked at my profile on LinkedIn. I hate that. It's an invasion of privacy because now I'm just like, don't go on LinkedIn. Don't look at people's profiles because then they know it's like YouTuber, Prague, English. It's like, who else is it going to be? It's me looking at your profile. No, there's more than one of us. But, like, it's a small field. There's more than one of us. There's more than one of us. There's more than one of us. There's more than... And I don't like that. It feels invasive. It may not be the most glamorous job, but luckily for Amber, it's a job that relies on tips, which means that she was carrying paper money. When she went to check her mailbox before going inside, she was approached by a man later identified as Damien Boyce. Damien allegedly flashed a pistol at Amber to let her know what was up before demanding that she let him into her house. She declined to let him inside, instead handing over the $100 or so in cash that she had on her from the night in the hopes that would be enough of a score for him to not press the issue of getting inside anymore. It turns out it was, but Damien wasn't ready to leave until he made one more demand. He allegedly forced Amber at gunpoint to take out her phone and add him as a friend on Facebook. Damien. What are you up to, Damien? I have no words. I really am lost for words. The stupidity of this is really remarkable. She added him in the hopes that he would go away, and it worked. As soon as the friend request was sent, Damien rode off into the sunrise on his stallion, aka his bicycle. But of course, the story doesn't end there. No, Amber goes to the police and is like, I'd like my money back, and I felt threatened. And it's this dude. We're friends on Facebook. And the police are like, why are you friends on Facebook? Have I got a story for you? That had to be a reason that Damien demanded for Amber to add him on Facebook. And that reason is that he thought she was f***ing fine. Oh, like fine, like she'd be fine. Hello there, let's take a brief detour from our usual programming to pay our respects to a loyal friend and supporter. No one has died. This video is just brought to you by the legends over at Squarespace. If you're scratching your head right now thinking, what's this Squarespace? Simon, what are you rambling on about? I've never heard of this. Well, in that case, this is your first time on YouTube, isn't it? This is probably your first time on the internet, to be honest. Hello. It's wonderful, isn't it? Squarespace is your go-to place to build an impressive online presence for your brand and expand your business into the digital realm. I mean, just in case you weren't there already. But if you are, maybe it's time to update that old clunky website that you built in 1997 using GeoCities. Not supposed to mention competitors, but surely GeoCities is not a competitor. GeoCities has been gone for I think the first website ever built with GeoCities was on GeoCities. It was for like a chemistry project when I was 13. Why am I talking about this? Just do the advert, Simon. What the hell? They offer a smooth and simple experience that lets your creative juices flow freely with their intuitive fluid engine design system and engaging templates. Whether you're glued to your desktop or on the go with your mobile. I'm always glued to my desktop. My life is glued to screens. And I love it, to be honest. I got no problem. People are like, don't spend too much time. I like it. I like being in front of a screen, especially when I'm using Fluid Engine from Squarespace. Squarespace provides endless possibilities. On top of that, there are tools to understand your audience and keep them better engaged. With Squarespace Analytics, you'll see who's visiting your site, what products are selling, and how you can refine your strategy based on those insights. They also offer integrated email campaign tool that lets you connect with your audience regularly, offering them exclusive deals and updates. So that's nice. I used to pay a bloody fortune for that. You know how expensive emails are? I mean, not like Gmail and stuff. I mean, that's free. Or at least, there's loads of advertising. They'll get you with those adverts. I saw the other day, there's adverts in Gmail on the iPhone, which I've never got. But my wife was showing me, she's like, this is email. I'm like, whoa. Why do you have adverts in Gmail on your phone? I have no idea why she does, and I do not. Simon, this advert's going to be insanely long. Just do it. Just do it. I've used Squarespace to build my own little corner of the internet, and I recommend that you do the same. And if you want to show some love back to Squarespace for supporting this show, start your journey by clicking the link below, and I'd appreciate that because I love it when Squarespace have been supporting this show forever. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised there are still people who watch this show who haven't yet got Squarespace, because it's been an ongoing partnership, and I love them for it. But just go check it out. Get some Squarespace. Why not? Venture to squarespace.com/Blaze. And when you're ready to blast off, use the promo, and by blast off, I mean launch your website. Use the code BLAZE to knock 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. So that's nice. And now back to today's episode. He started sending her flirty messages, telling her things like, look, I'm going to pay you back. It's just a fucked up way to meet someone. But damn you wass. Sick. But damn you was... Oh, I see. But damn you was too pretty to rob. Bro, what? Amber played along a little bit out of fear for her safety, saying that she could tell that Damien was a sweet guy who just fell on hard times, but when he finally asked her to come chill, she let him know that she already had a man. It was a bold strategy to get a first date, and obviously it didn't pay off. Damien was easily arrested thanks to the evidence that would never have existed if he had not decided to test his Riz. What does Riz mean? For anybody not up on modern slang, Riz is the measure of a person's ability to flirt, charm others, or cast sorcerer spells. Okay, Kevin knew I was going to ask that, didn't he? He knows my thoughts. He knows what I'm thinking. He's watched so many of my videos. He's inside my mind. Fucking Riz. Got that Riz, baby. I'm going to start using that in my everyday world. Be like, it's like swag, right? Swag, Riz. You got that Riz, baby. I'm not. That would be weird coming out of my mouth, so I'm not going to do that. But I'd like to think that I could. I don't know. It doesn't vibe with me, to use another word that's hot with the kids. Just to be clear, in case I didn't use allegedly often enough, Damien has only been charged with the crime thus far, not convicted. Yeah, we didn't accuse him of any crimes. We just told what could have happened. Sure, you can see images of the Facebook conversation online, but it's all entirely alleged. The eye of the beholder. In 2008, Anthony Garcia was just driving around Pico Rivera, California, as usual, when he got pulled over. To be clear, this is not the American serial killer and Dr. Anthony Garcia. It's a different one. Am I supposed to know Anthony Garcia? I don't think I've made a casual criminal about him. Should I? Wait. I don't know. No, I don't know. I'm not even going to guess because it's dangerous. Anyway, it turns out that this Anthony, who was 22 years old at the time, was driving with a suspended license. Oh, you naughty boy. I always found it funny how in the UK, the punishment for driving without a license is a driving ban. And it's like, well, right, you were under a driving ban anyway because you didn't have a license. It's weird.
Criminal.
He was brought into the station to get his mugshot taken, and since he was a member of the Riviera 13 gang, is that like MS-13 except slightly, I don't know, you got to be more gentle than MS-13 because MS-13 is scary. The police photographed all of his tattoos. A little bit later, a detective was flipping through images of gang members' tattoos while working on another case when Anthony's tattoo caught his attention. There was something unusual about it that reminded him of a 2004 murder case that he'd investigated. Oh my god, good memory. This is going to be some excellent police work. It turns out that Anthony had been arrested and photographed numerous times, so the detective went back through the older booking photos to see if he could figure out exactly when Anthony had gotten his tattoo done. If the tattoo had predated the 2004 murder, then obviously the tattoo would just have been a weird coincidence. But of course, it didn't. It is weird that criminals I don't want to make a blanket statement because tattoos are obviously a lot more popular these days and most people who have tattoos are not criminals. But gangs and stuff get tattoos, right? They get gang tats and whatnot. I just feel like for a group that probably don't want to be easily identified, it's a little bit weird that they're getting loads of, especially facial tattoos. It's well, no, it was about, brown hair, brown eyes, middling height, and he had a massive off swastika on his chin. Otherwise you'd just be generic dude. But when you get a swastika on your chin, it's well, it's conspicuous, isn't it? In photos taken in 2005, Anthony had a tattoo on his chest of a helicopter gunning down Mr. Peanut. At first glance, that may seem like a bit of anti-peanut propaganda funded by the almond butter industry, but there is some necessary context. Anthony's nickname within the Riviera 13 it's Rivera. I'm like Riviera, like French Riviera. Rivera 13 gang was Chopper, and the peanut is a commonly used symbol of rival gang. It's unclear whether the gang uses the peanut themselves or if it's just a symbol used to mock them, but either way, that seems like a pretty normal tattoo for a gang member. More photos from 2006 showed that the tattoo had evolved with a liquor store being added into the background. That brought the detective to the new 2008 photos of a tattoo that Anthony had spent 4 years perfecting that would result in his murder conviction. Don't get tattoos, gang members. Just try and stay as generic as possible. It's good for crimes being as generic as possible. I know this isn't the Casual Criminalist where I give advice to criminals. Not really, it's just a joke. But come on, that's obvious.
In 2077, what makes someone a criminal? Getting caught.
The final tattoo showed the completed murder scene from 2004 in so much detail that it was essentially a confession. The liquor store depicted in the tattoo was decorated in Christmas lights just like it had been at the time of the murder. To remove any doubt about which liquor store Anthony's tattoo was meant to depict, it even included the bent light post in the store's parking lot as well as the building next door to the liquor store. Bro, did you tattoo your crimes on your body? I know this is titled The World's Dumbest Criminals, but sometimes it's literally beyond words. How dumb people can be. And this is something that's gone on for ages. He's in there, thinking about it and all of this stuff. How have you not thought about, maybe this will be used against you at some point? In addition to the cartoon helicopter spreading gunfire, there were 2 more depictions of Anthony committing the murder in human form. The tattoos were so accurate that they showed the exact trajectory at which Anthony fired his gun, as well as the exact location of the bullet wound on his victim. It's pretty common for gang members to get tattoos to symbolize their crimes, but they're normally just that. They're abstract symbols. Yes! And that gives something called plausible fucking deniability. And that's what you needed, Anthony. You didn't need a photorealistic depiction of your crimes, Anthony. You tiny, tiny brain, allegedly. The idea that someone would get a tattoo featuring such a literal and forensically accurate depiction of their crime is quite probably unprecedented. The craziest part of this is that the 2004 murder investigation was essentially a cold case at this point. Anthony had quite literally gotten away with murder for 4 years, and had he not chosen to tattoo a giant confession on his chest, he would never have been convicted.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser! Good!
This is extraordinary, Kevin. I can't believe you could possibly top this with another entry. Consider your surroundings. Darren Kimpton of Abington, England was from the home islands, Blighty, let's go. There's hardly the world's most accomplished criminal. In fact, his own legal counsel even referred to him as clumsy and pathetic, which is not a very encouraging sign. Then again, it's not like there was any chance that he could plead not guilty anyway. In February of 2013, Darren attempted to break into a house so they could steal stuff to sell for heroin. He wasn't able to find a way inside, but he did manage to cut his hand and get lots of blood all over the doorknob. But Darren was undeterred. He needed money, and he wasn't going to let something like failure or a bloody hand just stand in the way of his goals. He just needed to find another house to rob instead, and that's when he noticed a house that already had a broken window. Your first thought might be that a broken window is a great way to sneak into a house, which is correct. But if you took time to consider the situation a little longer, you might ask yourself why a house had a broken window. I mean, I would. If I was a criminal, I'd just be like, well, let's just do the next house because maybe there's another robber inside. Any reasons at all to like put me off, and there's other generic houses to rob, just rob one of the other generic houses. Why rob the one that has anything suspicious about it? Particularly, why did it have a window that had been broken but was not either fixed or blocked off in some way? Even if you didn't think it was unusual, perhaps you might have taken the cautious step of peering through other windows to make sure that there wasn't anybody home and awake that was going to catch you in the act. But Darren didn't have time for any of that nonsense. Well, he is after heroin, isn't he? So he's probably in a little bit of a rush. So he climbed straight through the window without giving it second thought. It turns out that the reason the house had a broken window was that somebody else had already burglarized it earlier that night. I was right with my first guess. Jesus Christ, you don't want to live in this neighborhood, do you? Had Darren taken the time to snoop around a bit, not only would he have discovered that the family was all awake and downstairs. Oh, bro. Wait, the police are going to be there, aren't they? But the house is full of police officers who were there to investigate the previous break-in and take statements from the homeowners. Can you imagine being the copper on that case, being like,
who are you?
Oh,
Am I going to be upbeat? Oh, Wesley.
Darren made a run for it after seeing the police, but they saw him as well, so he didn't get very far. Thanks to his bloody hands, they were able to take him in, not for one count, but 2 counts of attempted burglary. You think he might have gotten a little better at the particular crime spree, since he already had 36 prior charges for burglary. How's he not in prison? 36 times? Unlike that American law where it's like 3 strikes, right? Where it's like you commit 3 small crimes and they lock you away forever. I'm not saying that that's just, because it's not, it's insane. But 36? How about each time that you get caught, we just double it? So it's like burglary. Let's say you get 6 months in jail. Second time? Year. Third time? 2 years. Fourth time? 4 years. Fifth time? 8 years. Why can't we do it like that? That seems pretty sensible. 36, he's locked up in there for infinity, basically. It'd be millions of years. Maybe not millions. How many would that be? It'd be a lot, though, because that exponential thing. I think it would be millions. It really goes up quick. Luckily for Darren, this was in England and not one of those American 3 strike states where this would have counted as a serious offence that would land him in jail for life. Kevin, you read my mind. Performance anxiety. On the 22nd of October 2014, a man described as being white, unshaven, stocky, and in his late 20s or early 30s walked into Halifax Bank in the City of London. Back in Blighty again, I like it. They always feel close to home and familiar. He walked up to a teller holding a large bag and pointed the gun in her face and demanded that the teller hand over £700,000 in cash. Wait, this is 2014? Banks don't have cash. It's not like, do they? I don't think so. Like, for the longest time, they've said this is a cashless bank. Like, we only carry, like, a tiny amount of cash. That's more cash than even large banks are likely to have on hand, but otherwise, so far, so good. The robber even brought a bag for the teller to put the money into. After making his demands, the man then calmly handed the teller his gun instead of the bag. They both froze for a moment after realizing what happened before the man lunged forward, reaching out over the counter to grab the gun back. The teller simply took a step back, hit the alarm, and aimed the gun directly at the would-be robber.
Man, I'm dead.
This one's like one of those ones where it's like, obviously I'd not be robbing a bank, but I could see myself making the same mistake because I'd just be like, okay. Oh no! As the security shutter started to lower, the criminal made a run for it. The only thing he successfully stole was a bicycle that one of the bank's employees had parked outside, but despite being one of the dumbest criminals the world has ever seen, as far as I could tell, the man was never caught. How? A £25,000 reward was issued by the police, and the robber was caught on CCTV footage, but it seems that his clever disguise of a hat and sunglasses was enough to keep his identity a mystery. To be fair, the description was extremely generic, and the CCTV photos I've seen aren't very helpful either.
I've mastered the ability of standing so incredibly still that I've become invisible to the eye.
Honourable mention, kill him with kindness. This entry only gets an honourable mention because it was less a matter of the criminal being stupid and more a matter of somebody else being smart. Don't get me wrong, he was still an idiot. Also, was the last guy an idiot? Yeah, he was. He made a simple mistake, but he also got away with it, didn't he? Don't get me wrong, he was still an idiot, but he was less incompetent than the other entries. Back in 1995, a man decided to burglarize a home in Des Moines, Iowa. The only resident was 93-year-old Ruth Bradshaw, who was asleep at the time. So, already he's doing better than most of our other criminals. criminals. But the noise woke Ruth up, and she came to investigate what was going on. Once she saw that her home was being robbed and that there was no chance that she could physically overpower the much younger man, Ruth did the only thing she could, pretending to be a doddering and potentially senile old woman. She pretended to recognize that intruder as one of her grandson's friends and welcomed him back into her home. Ruth playing the long game here.
Look at her. She's old. You can't just take her stuff. She's too old.
Always the gracious host, Ruth prepared an extremely large and heavy breakfast for the man. I'd imagine it was something like £5 worth of bacon and pancakes. Oh my god, I'm so hungry. It's 10 past 2 and I still haven't eaten today. I ordered my lunch and I'm waiting for it to be delivered. I might interrupt this video to go and eat it if the delivery man comes. I'm very hungry. Bacon sounds great. After the criminal gorged himself, Ruth insisted that he should lie down and relax. He did, and unsurprisingly, he wound up quickly falling asleep as a result. How could you sleep at a time like this? Like, my heart would be like, pa, 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 pa. His heart's like, pa, pa, pa. Just chill. Just super chill. But his nap was cut short by the police that woke him up to arrest him. A smarter criminal wouldn't have fallen for such a ruse, but the credit should still go to Ruth's cleverness rather than the criminal's stupidity. She attributed her abilities to avoid danger and to manipulate people on her previous careers as both a bootlegger and a pastor. I'll let you decide which skill she learned from which career. Just hanging around. If I told you that somebody was caught outside of an elementary school with his pants down, it probably wouldn't surprise you to learn that he was arrested. No, it most definitely would not. Don't do that. What might surprise you is that the arrest was for attempted burglary rather than indecent exposure. Why not get both? It was spring break for the students of the Mars Exploratory Learning Center in Tucson, Arizona, which should definitely be fucking Tucson. In 2017, sometime Friday morning, a locksmith who was working on campus saw a person trying to enter a number of different rooms throughout the school. The alleged burglar saw the locksmith and got scared off, so he decided to make a run for it. Since the school was closed for the week, the man had to escape by what was presumably the same way he got in, jumping over the gate into the school. He obviously had successfully cleared the gate on his way in, but things didn't go so well on the way out. Maybe he was too anxious about getting caught, or maybe he was just rushing and overestimated his abilities. Either way, he attempted to jump over the large metal spikes at the top of the gate, but this time he didn't make it. The man's baggy pants got caught on one of the spikes, pulling them up past his knees and trapping him, essentially tying him to the fence by the ankles. Oh my god.
Freedom ain't not free.
At least he didn't do something else to him. There was a kid at my school, we had this fence with these spikes on top. And somehow, I can't remember how he did it, he just fell or if someone pushed him or whatever, but he got stabbed by one of the spikes and had to go to hospital. And then the school came along and chopped off all the spikes, which was probably smart because they were at stabbing height. It was really intense. I remember that. I can't remember what the kid's name was, though. Doesn't matter, it's not important for the story, is it? It's just an invasion of his privacy if I say his name, which I still don't remember, but let's carry on. And then posted it on Facebook. The caption read, "One more reason not to jump fences in baggy pants. I saw this homie hanging around the Mars school this morning." According to the poster, he circled back with the intent of helping the man off the fence, but by the time he got there, the police had already rolled up. 15 minutes later, the man had been removed from the fence and was placed into the back of a squad car. This is actually a shockingly common problem for criminals. While being caught pantless in front of an elementary school isn't common for thieves, being trapped upside down is. If you Google burglar traps upside down, there are countless stories from all over the world of criminals being found hanging upside down inside the buildings they were trying to rob. Really? In one rather creative instance, someone came home from work to discover a burglar whose shoe had gotten trapped in the window, leaving him hanging upside down for about 6 hours. The criminal tried to justify his presence by saying that he got stuck chasing somebody else that was robbing the home. I'm sure all the cash and jewelry in his pockets were just put there by the real thief in an attempt to frame him. Dude, 6 hours hanging upside down, and that's the best you got to think of? You're just thinking about that whole time. The blood rushing to your head, helping your brain process. And it's that's the best. I'll leave you all with one more quick story that wasn't quite long enough for its own entry. In 2009, 19-year-old Jerome Blanchett walked into the bathroom of a Holiday Inn in Pennsylvania where he pulled a gun on John Comparetto. Jerome took $138 and Comparetto's cell phone, then demanded that the retiree drop his pants so that he could escape without being pursued. Comparetto did as he was told, and as soon as Jerome left the bathroom, he grabbed the pistol from his ankle holster, pulled up his pants, and gave chase. Legend. Because Comparetto was a retired police chief from New York and he was staying at the Holiday Inn to attend a police convention with about 300 other police officers. Don't rob the Holiday Inn during the police convention. added to the list of casual criminalist rules because that's spectacular. A convention that Holiday Inn had put up numerous large signs to advertise and that Jerome simply ignored. Needless to say, Jerome did not escape from the hotel and he was sentenced to 6.5 for 13 years for armed robbery. To anyone who thinks this sentence seems lenient, don't worry, by the time he was convicted of this robbery, he was already serving 52 to 104 years in prison for 4 other armed robberies. With any luck, the American prison system will be able to rehabilitate Jerome so that he can serve his sentence, then re-enter the world as a productive 80-year-old member of society. Yeah, I don't really see that happening. And that's where we end today's video. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna have lunch. There's more than one of us. There's more than one of us. There's more than one of us. There's more than